Okay,
All right, you ready for the next one?
I am ready.
Let's go. This is that mini roller coaster, which is not mini in the sense of how big it is, but I guess it's mini in
The
retrospect
cars are
to,
small. Yeah.
yeah, the normal roller coasters. Ah,
It's a weird noise.
yeah, kind of sounded like a sprayer almost.
How's my volume?
You sound good to me.
All right. Oh, this is kind of like that one where they had the shooting gallery.
Yeah, it is pretty similar to that, isn't it? All right. I'm gonna start in the back on like the giant floor area out here,
Okay, I'll work in here.
because this is gonna take forever.
So what you been up to today?
Oh, not a whole lot. We did my mother-in-law and sister-in-law's birthday today.
Ah,
Their actual birthday isn't until like next week, but we
yeah.
went.
Your sister-in-law's birthday is next week as well.
Oh yeah, my other sister-in-law. Hmm.
I spent today working on a gift for her.
Oh yeah,
So,
don't spoil it.
yeah.
I hope she likes it.
I do too. I don't know. I don't know her well enough, to know what her likes and dislikes are yet. I'm learning. Hey, did you stay up enough to watch the haircutting ceremony?
God, I did not think it was as long as it was.
Yeah.
The guy, like, we started watching it, and then maybe like 20 minutes in, the guy went, "Yeah, this is gonna take about 6 hours." I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, I watched until he was sitting down and they were cutting the little snippets of his hair.
Yeah,
And then they said it'd be another 2 hours, and I thought, well, F this.
yeah, that's essentially what we did. We watched that for maybe an hour, and then we were like, "And we're going to bed." Time zones, man. But we watched. I looked up some highlights this morning, uh,
Yeah.
and they showed uh, one of his primary rivals from when he was an active wrestler showed up later to cut his hair. His mom and dad cut a piece of his hair. Sometimes they'll cry because it's like, uh,
Well, there were a couple of times he looked like he was about to lose it, but mostly when he was off stage.
yeah.
I can imagine it's got to be pretty emotional.
Yeah, that's something that like until you get deep into like watching the sport and watching uh like a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that we watch, and we watch a bunch of videos that are put out by the stables. So like
Mm-hmm.
the essentially what is and is not the equivalent of a American sports team. Like it's not a team sport, it's an individual sport, but it's
Yeah.
it's the closest comparison. And you get to know a lot of these guys and you learn about what this means to them and what they're sacrificing to do it, because it's not like any other sport where you can you can join the sport and then you go home at the end of the day. It's like they don't go home at the end of the day, they go back to the stable and live with all their stablemates. And literally people can spend 20 or 30 years living in this stable by like with their stablemates, and that's it.
Yeah. That's got to be a big sacrifice. Of
It's
course, he
yeah.
does have a family.
Yeah. There's different, depending on what stable you're in, there are different rules for like being able to date and stuff like that. But generally nowadays it's essentially if you've been there long enough, they'll let you date regardless of what your rank is. So yeah, people can have families, they'll eventually move out. You're supposed to live at the stable if you're not a salaried wrestler, which is the top two ranks, but obviously if you get married, they're going to be like, okay, well, yeah, you're going to move out.
Yeah. So I understand he's going to run the stable now.
He currently is. He took over after he announced his retirement in January of last year. About a month or so later, the stable master of his stable announced that he was going to retire. And so they have this thing. It's difficult to explain, but they have this thing called stock, which is not like it's not like economic stocks. It's like um, you get a certain amount of stock based off of like your rank in sumo and how long you've been there, how long you've been at a high level rank, and all this kind of stuff. And you essentially can cash in this stock to take over a stable, because they don't just let anyone take over a stable as a coach,
Well,
as a stable
obviously,
master.
yeah.
And so when his stable master announced his retirement, he was like, "Hey, I have enough stock to take over a stable, so I'm just going to ask the Japan Sumo Association if I can take over his stable, because it was the stable I was in, and
Yeah.
I was a Yokozuna. Yokozunas almost always get whatever they want." Uh, and so he asked the JSA. He's like, "Hey, I want to take over this stable as the stable master," and they were like, "Yep, approved." So he started doing that in like March or May of last year. I forget exactly when. But yeah, that is what his official job is now, is stable master.
So is that a salaried position?
Oh yeah. Yeah. The essentially how that works is the wrestlers are not paid by the JSA. The stable master is paid by the JSA based off of what rank the wrestlers are in his stable. And then the stable master pays his wrestlers. So there is an amount that the wrestlers are supposed to make on at each level and each rank and stuff like that. And generally speaking, they give the wrestlers exactly what they're supposed to. But the stable master technically is the one that pays them, not the Sumo Association.
Yeah.
So like he's technically getting a huge salary because his stable is one of the biggest ones right now. And out of his salary, he pays all his wrestlers. He pays for the building that they're in. He pays for, you know, a vast majority of their food. And when I say a vast majority, we're talking like 95 to 98% of the food they eat is paid for by him.
But they do have sponsors occasionally, right?
Not really. That, like, you can have a sponsor that pays you as a wrestler, but it's really only the elite wrestlers, like the very tippy top. Even among the salaried guys, it's usually only maybe like the top 10 guys would end up getting a sponsorship somewhere.
But there's people that are companies that donate food and stuff, right?
Yes. So those are stable sponsors. They sponsor the stable generically, not a specific wrestler.
Right.
So the stable gets some special foods, or, you know, maybe they. One of the common things is they have 6 tournaments a year. 3 of the tournaments are held in Tokyo. So almost every stable is in Tokyo proper. And then when they have a tournament, let's say the March tournament that's coming up next is in Osaka, one of the common things that a sponsor will donate is they'll donate a facility for the stable to use for like 3 weeks while they're in Osaka.
Oh, okay.
So they usually don't have to pay for whatever building they're staying. A lot of the big ones are using like specifically built sumo buildings that are built specifically for them to come once a year for 3 weeks. But like, we were watching one where the city council had like donated the use of an abandoned elementary school. So one of the stables was just staying at this old elementary school.
Now, is the arena what's called the dojo?
The dojo is the actual clay. It's not a pyramid, but the clay part that they fight on. That's the dojo, not the whole facility, just that.
Oh, okay.
Of it. And those are, they have a couple of backward rules, right? So like, women are not allowed to step foot on it, and that just comes from, you know, 1,000 years ago, you know, when that was the norm. There are some people trying to get that changed, because there have been situations where, you know, a wrestler will have a match and he'll get injured, and like a female nurse in the crowd will jump over the thing and run up onto the dojo and start helping them. And then some of the security will rush up and escort this nurse off of the dojo. And she's like, I'm trying to help this wrestler to make sure he's okay, and y'all are kicking me off of here. What the hell is wrong with you? So there are people that are trying to get rules like that changed, but there's also like, tradition is a weird thing in Japan, where it's hard to get some of the older generation to agree to even stipulations such as that. But like, when you fight in Tokyo, one of the awards you get if you're the grand champion of that specific tournament is you get what's called the Prime Minister's Cup. And the Prime Minister is supposed to walk up and present it to you if they're available. Like, sometimes they're not, so they'll send someone else from the government to give it to you. But it's pretty common for the Prime Minister to be there. It's not that rare. And the current Prime Minister of Japan is female. So she can never present the cup, because they won't let her on there. So it's a contentious, that's like one of the contentious things that some people are trying to get changed.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I can kind of understand, but I can also appreciate the delicacy of, you know, this isn't sumo is not exclusively a sport. It is also like a religious ceremony.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to dance around that a little bit. But
Well, explain to me who the uncles are.
the uncles. Oh, you mean the drunkles?
I don't know. They kept calling them uncles, I thought.
No, it's. I think what you're referring to is what the streamer calls drunkles in the background, and it's old drunk men at the sumo thing that are screaming for their favorite wrestlers when they show up. That's all that is.
Oh,
It's
no.
Go ahead.
What I'm referring to, they had a whole bunch of like guys in suits sitting at the side of the ring. I mean, a big bunch, like 20 or 30 of them.
Are you talking yesterday
Yeah.
during the haircutting? Those
Yeah.
are probably sponsors.
Because they were calling them uncles. Or I thought they were.
Don't know. There was a lot going on yesterday that is not the norm, obviously, and I'm pretty sure that is what those were. Those were probably just sponsors of the Yokozuna or sponsors of his stable,
Oh, okay.
who get like prime seats at the event because they've donated tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars over this person's life or career or the stable, and so they get like they're like businessmen, rich Japanese people that have essentially paid for it.
That's what they looked like to me.
Yeah, that calling if he was calling them uncles, it may have just been like a term of endearment,
Like an honorific.
Yeah, kinda. I thought you were talking about the dudes in the all black, I don't know, uniforms that sit on the side of the ring during matches and stuff. I was like, oh, so you talking about those? I know what those are.
Well, I don't know if they're usually there or not, but they were there last night.
Yeah, if you're talking about the guys that were in Western style business suits, no, those are not normal. They may be there during the tournament, but it's not like it was yesterday. But yeah, as an American who got into sumo last year, it took me a little while before I could wrap my head around some of the differences between sumo and what we would consider a normal Western sport, and how things are handled, how the wrestlers are treated, etc. But yeah, a lot of the stuff you see them do in sumo directly relates to old religious ceremonies that aren't really strictly practiced all that much. It's like a rare religion in Japan now, but at the time of sumo, essentially everyone in Japan worshipped this religion back when it was founded.
Yeah.
And it's just become so ingrained into like Japanese society that it's...
I mean, I know that the most popular religion is Shinto.
Well, was, yeah. Isn't anymore, but...
Oh, it isn't?
No. Shinto's kind of it's not a niche religion, but it's definitely not the most... Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what your definition of a religion... Like, the most widely used religion in Japan is agnostic now. non-religious.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're going based off of solely religious, maybe it is. But yeah, the doyo itself, at the beginning of the tournament, like a day or two before the tournament, there's like a special ceremony to actually bless the doyo and turn it into a religious shrine. So while they're wrestling, they are wrestling on a religious shrine. Like,
Yeah, sacred ground.
yeah, exactly. They bury some stuff inside the doyo, like they bury offerings. So like you have rice and sake, and there's usually squid or octopus that's put inside there. And then at the end of the tournament, they dig it up.
Okay.
Yeah, they dig it up and they put it into the ceremonial 7-Eleven bag. And that's not a joke. They literally will dig it up and just put it all into like some kind of 7-Eleven or like what is essentially some kind of convenience store plastic bag. And then they'll transport it to an actual Shinto shrine nearby and deposit it there. But it strikes so weird because everything is so ceremonial and sacred. And then at the very end of the tournament, you just see this guy walking around with this convenience store plastic bag with like the sacred ritual stuff inside it. And you're like, you don't have anything else? And they're like, no, we just use plastic bags. It's fine. It's like, all right. Just seems kind of weird, but whatever. Yeah, one of our favorite wrestlers who won the tournament in November got promoted to the second highest rank. And the only way to get promoted out of that is to win. Once you are the second highest rank, now you have to win 2 tournaments back to back or have an equivalent performance, which means like even if you don't win the tournament, if you have like a 14-1 record and the only person you lost to was the guy who won the tournament, they'll usually accept that as good enough. But he has to win 2 back-to-back tournaments to get the highest rank. And he won the tournament in January. So now everybody's like, if he wins again in March, he technically has qualified for the highest position already.
Which is what, Yokozuna?
Yokozuna, yeah. And Yokozuna, you cannot be demoted from Yokozuna. So every other rank, there's a way to lose your rank and go down in rank, except when you get promoted to Yokozuna. Then you're Yokozuna for the rest of your life. However, they do have some requirements. They expect you to, as a Yokozuna, you are expected to either A, always win the tournaments, which of course there are currently 2 of them, so that's obviously not possible. Or B, at the very least, be in contention for winning every tournament. And you know, they understand that you're gonna have bad tournaments every once in a while, but if you start putting up like 4 or 5 losing records in a row, they're gonna start looking at you and being like, "Bro, you better turn this around. Or we're gonna have to have a difficult conversation here."
Well, if they can't take it away from you, then what do they do?
They can force you to retire.
Ah.
And unlike
Which
others,
I suppose if it was retirement with a losing record, you would, that's a stain.
yeah, if you are forced to retire from the rank of Yokozuna, that in and of itself is a stain, regardless of the reason. Like one of the current Yokozunas, Hoshoryu, who was promoted last January, so he's only been Yokozuna for a year now. Was it his uncle? His uncle was a Yokozuna, and his uncle was forced to retire not because he was having too many losing records, but because he got into a bar fight and broke someone's nose. And that is a stain on the rank of Yokozuna and on sumo as a sport.
Yeah.
So they pulled him aside and they said, you have two choices. You can either retire or we can force you out. And that's going to be way worse. And so
Yeah.
he, like, literally the next day he retired. So it looked really bad because everyone in the news knew what was going on. He got into a bar fight. And that's part of the reason why when Hoshoryu got promoted to Yokozuna, people were like, is he going to be like his uncle? Is he going to besmirch the Yokozuna name because they're related? Which, of course, is a stupid thing to think, but, like, you know, the media is going to do what the media is going to do.
Yeah.
But secretly, we hope that the guy who won in November and January wins again in March and gets the promotion. Yeah. He is super popular. Because he's the Ukrainian refugee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Strangely enough, he is not popular with the Japanese Sumo Association, though. They're not big fans of his. Primarily, we're assuming it's primarily because he's currently more popular than the Yokozunas are, and they don't like that.
Yeah.
But he's insanely popular with the Japanese public. So they keep saying stuff like, we're not going to, like in November they said we're not going to, even if he wins the championship and gets a bunch of wins that would qualify him for the second highest rank of Ozeki, we're not going to give it to him because he's done it too quickly. And then the public outcry was really loud, and they were like, we're still not going to do it. And then he won on the last day, and they're like, we're going to promote him. And everybody was like, yeah, that's what we thought. You guys can not like him all you want, but, like, if he's wildly popular with the fans, you kind of don't have a choice. messing with their tradition. I mean, yeah, kind of. It's unfortunate to say it, but the Japan Sumo Association is a little bit racist. Not in
Well,
the aspect of racism, like per se, but like they're not huge fans of non-Japanese people being better than Japanese people at their national sport. They're not
yeah,
huge
well,
fans of that.
their job is to promote Japanese sumo.
Yes.
And if you're not Japanese, then why should they promote you? You know, that's the way they're probably looking at it. Nothing personal against the guy or his nationality.
Right. But it's like, we really want the Japanese to be best at sumo.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of a preference there. But
Yeah, it's a bias.
yeah.
Not really racism, but a bias.
Yeah. But like, what was it? The second Yokozuna who got promoted in like May of last year. He's the first Japanese Yokozuna in like 20 years. Because the sport had been dominated by Mongolians for a really long time.
Wow.
And yeah, the guy who retired last night, he's Mongolian. The guy who got his hair cut. And every Yokozuna since like 2004 or something like that was Mongolian.
That must be a sore point with the
Yeah, they weren't too keen on
guys.
it. They were kind of bummed. That's why when the guy's name is Onosato, the current Japanese Yokozuna, when he got promoted, everyone was really stoked. They're like, he's the first Japanese Yokozuna in 20 years. Let's go! And in all fairness, he is incredible. How old is he? I think he's 24. He's not that old.
Huh.
He just turned 25. Okay. Yeah. And he is really good. Like, he did not do exceptionally well this tournament, but that was because he has a really bad shoulder injury right now. But I mean, he had a winning record. I think he went 10-5. And yeah. So considering he has like what would be a crippling shoulder injury to pretty much anyone else, and he still won 10 out of his 15 matches. It's pretty good. Yeah, they made a big deal about it because sumo wrestlers historically don't like talking about their injuries or showing that they're injured. So if a sumo wrestler ever says he's in a little bit of pain, you know he's probably in enough pain that would put a normal person, like, in the hospital, essentially. Yeah. And, like, before the tournament, he was like, yeah, my shoulder hurts. And they were like, oh my god. If he's willing to admit that his shoulder hurts, it's really bad. But that's one of the reasons we like, Cappy and I really enjoy the sport, is it doesn't play out like Western sports. Like, you know, you come out there, you win your match, and there's no showboating. You win your match, you bow, you leave. That's it. You're done.
Yeah.
And it's not, you know, there's not a lot of like, yeah, I'm the greatest. Nobody really does that in sumo. There was one guy that was like that. But to be fair, he was the greatest. And yeah, and a Yokozuna. Yeah. That is also why the first time he screwed up after he retired, they were like, he's gone! Because they were like, get him out of here. And to be fair, he screwed up real bad. He took
Is that the guy that was cheating on his wife?
No. He's still in. That guy's still in.
Oh, jeez.
No, the guy. To be fair, the thing this guy did was awful and really bad, and he got a good punishment for it. And then he complained after the punishment had been ongoing for about a year, and then they were like, "Yeah, we're not going to change it." And he was like, "All right, well, I fucking quit then." He was a master of a stable, and he had a new stable, a new wrestler that he was like grooming to be his, protege essentially. And this wrestler would beat up and abuse other wrestlers at the stable. And the Yokozuna stable master was covering up for him.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. It was not good. It's not the first time that's happened. And it won't be the last.
Well, he was also trying to fix.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
Oh, he was trying to fix matches. Oh, that's real bad.
That's why he was so bad.
Okay. And so their punishment was they took his stable away from him. They demoted him to the lowest possible rank the elders are. The elders are the retired people who still work in the Japan Sumo Association. And they told him essentially he would not be able to get his stable back until he had a long proof of sustained change in his behaviors. And he was without his stable for like over a year. And then they told him, hey, we're going to allow you to start working at a stable again, but you're not going to be the master. You're going to be a secondary coach. And you're going to be the secondary coach under the guy who just got his hair cutting yesterday.
Yeah.
Who was one of his biggest rivals when they were active wrestlers. And he was like, I am unequivocally, like unargued, the best sumo wrestler of all time. Like no one debates that. Because when he was a Yokozuna, they were talking about Terunofuji last night, and they said that Terunofuji won 10 tournaments over his entire Yokozuna career, or over his entire sumo career. He won 10 tournaments. This guy won 45 tournaments.
Wow.
And at certain points, he was winning 10 or 12 tournaments in a row. So, like, there is no other Yokozuna in the history of the sport who's even close to that. So they're like, nobody denies that he was the best sumo wrestler of all time. But he wasn't the best sumo wrestler of all time, if you know what I mean.
Kind of like Muhammad Ali claiming to, I am the greatest. Well, he was, but still.
Yeah, but this guy made some serious mistakes. So anyway, they told him what his option was about being the secondary coach behind Terunofuji. And he said, he basically came back with them with, I don't want to do that. And if you're not going to give me my stable back, I'm going to quit and just leave the organization completely. And they said, we're not going to do that. And he said, okay, bye. And he left. He was there last night, though. They let him come in and cut Terunofuji's hair.
Hmm.
That was nice.
Yeah. Sounds kind of like the Pete Rose of sumo.
Yeah, I guess that's probably one of the closest examples, yeah. But, like, I used to think when I first started getting into sumo, he wasn't kicked 100% out yet. And I was all like, man, like, they should really give this guy a stable again. I didn't know the extent of what he had done, but, like, I knew he had done some bad stuff, so I was all like, that kind of sucks, but, like, look at how good this guy was. Like, he brings a lot of people into the sport. And then I started hearing more about what he did, and I was like, maybe they made the right decision.
He just started believing his own press.
Yeah. He was a Muhammad Ali in that aspect of, like, he fell down the rabbit hole of his own, like, greatness and thought that he was too big for anyone to do anything about, so he could get away with anything he wanted.
Yeah.
And they were like, nah. Good try, though.
No, dog.
I got a good portion of the floor clean out here. Well, I don't know. I got a third of the floor clean out here. I thought it was a good portion until I looked behind me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not doing too bad in here either, so.
We'll go check it out. Take a few minutes to take a break. Yo! Man, look at you.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Progress, dude. Yeah, there's some interesting rules in sumo, like brothers can't wrestle each other in normal competition. And there's many sets of brothers that are in sumo right now. So even if you're in the same division and near the same rank as each other, generally you do not fight each other. The only time they'd ever let you fight each other is if you get to the very last day and you're both tied for the lead. That's the only time they'll let you fight your siblings. Same thing goes for stablemates. So that's why last tournament was kind of interesting, because 2 people from the same stable were tied for the lead in one of the divisions last time in January. So on the
What was the thing last night about all the Fujis?
Oops, all Fujis. Yeah. It's a relatively common thing for wrestlers of the same stable to have some similarity in their names. And it's not a requirement, but it's a strong recommendation by the stable master. They're like, hey, everybody here should have this letter in their name, right? Or their name should start with this letter, or they should have this term in your name somewhere. And at that stable, the part of their wrestler name is Fuji. So you have Fuji this, or so and so Fuji, or something Fuji something. And so recently there were the greatest sumo wrestler, the greatest Yokozuna of all time, who just got ousted, right? His stable was shut down. And when his stable got shut down, they moved all those wrestlers to the stable that Terano Fuji was running. And they kept all their same wrestler names that they had at the other stable for a while. And then eventually Terano Fuji was like, hey guys, I think it would be a good idea if everybody at the stable had Fuji in there somewhere. I'm not gonna... Yeah, no Fuji. And, you know, he said, like, it's not a requirement. I'm not gonna force you to do it. But we really should all have that in our names. And I think there's like 2 wrestlers left that didn't do it. But in like the July, it was either July or September tournament, like 15 wrestlers all changed their name in the same tournament. And so there was a big list that came out that was like, this wrestler is now called so-and-so no Fuji. This guy is called this no Fuji. And there were a lot of people at the time that were like, oh my god, so many like, we just got used to what their names were, and now we have to relearn all these names. This is going to take forever. So there were jokes of like, oops, all Fujis, and stuff like that. So what was really funny is they had an interstable, like, bracketed tournament of like, was it like 8 guys from the stable participated?
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
And it's like all the matches last night were all exhibition matches, so they weren't really trying that hard to like get their friends out or anything like that. But yeah, it's nice that the media in Japan kind of ran with that oops all Fujis thing, and then the stable has kind of accepted that as like an internal joke. And now they're like, hey, we're having an all Fuji tournament. Let's go. It's really silly. Look how everyone who's watching right now, who came to watch PowerWash Simulator, is getting a crash course on sumo wrestling. Yeah, you're welcome, everyone else. Sumo wrestling is amazing. You guys should watch it. It was a good demonstration of the whole mischaracterization of sumo wrestlers just being fat guys who slap at each other in Western media. When like yesterday you see these dudes that are like 300-400 pounds and they're lifting each other up like horizontally off of the ground and walking them out as they're carrying this 400-pound man, and they're just like, and I'll set you down carefully right here. People always show up to the streams and they're like, wow, is it just the fattest guy wins? And then they have to point out like, no. Routinely, like, more weight is both advantageous and a negative in the sport. Like, obviously, if you weigh more, you're going to be harder to push out of the ring. Duh. But like,
you're also probably going to be more susceptible to injury.
You'll be more susceptible to injury. There's also like, there are some really small guys, like dudes that are like 250 pounds who are in the upper echelon of sumo wrestling, and they're taking out dudes twice their size. Like, one of my favorite wrestlers is like 5'5" and like 240 something pounds. And he's in the top division, and he's in the middle of the top division, and he's routinely taking out like 400-pound dudes that are like 6'4" and just throwing them on their ass. And it's like, size matters, but technique is king. Like, if you have technique, it doesn't matter how big your opponent is, you've got him. So I tend to gravitate towards smaller wrestlers as some of my favorites, because they just have like really surprising match results. Here's this tiny guy up against this 387-pound, 6'2" dude, and the tiny guy's just like, "Oh, I tripped you. You fell down. I win." But it's not uncommon for wrestlers to like experiment with their weight to see like, am I going to be better at 350 pounds? Let me put on like 25 more pounds and see what happens. And if they're like, oh, I did well, but it was difficult for me to move, you know, I was slower, then they'll lose some weight. And they'll be like, actually, this is my preferred weight. And then they'll just spend most of their career there. One of our favorite wrestlers who just got injured was recently before he got injured, he was trying to put on like 30 or 40 pounds because he was, you know, he felt like he could take the extra weight and still be really fast and agile. And so the extra weight would just make it that much more difficult for his opponents to get him. And then he injured himself, and he got really disappointed because he's like, now that I'm injured, I'm just going to start losing weight like crazy. He's like, this is gonna suck because now I'm further behind my goal. Did I tell you what Cappy got me for our anniversary?
I think you told me, but I forgot.
She got me a 4x4 like line drawing of my favorite wrestler.
Cool.
Making a stupid face. That's just his face. No, he's making a silly face. Yeah, he got injured a while back, and he was out for 6 months. He dropped a lot in ranking. They don't care if you're injured. If you're injured, you miss the tournament. That's 0 and 15. Your rank goes down.
Well, I'm sure you know, but your brother is into British football.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's specifically Wrexham.
I did not know that.
Wrexham is the one that's partially owned by Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Didn't they? I think they just got into like the upper league.
Yeah, they've been doing really well ever since they bought them.
Well, that's good. I hope they continue to excel.
But Wrexham is actually a Welsh team.
Oh, wait. They're Welsh? Never mind.
Yeah.
I take everything back I said. Oops. I'm just kidding. I don't have any stake in that game. Just like people in the United States saying, oh, they're from New Jersey. And then you're just like, ew, New Jersey, gross.
Yeah, they're planning a trip to Scotland and England, I think next year. I'm not sure when, but that's your brother's one request is that he go to Wrexham and watch a game.
Nice. Well, I hope they win when he's there.
Yeah. 50%.
Oh, damn. All right, let's go. That went faster than I thought. Right. All gross. Y'all done inside? It's already coming outside. I'm lagging behind, chat. Gotta hurry up. I'm pulling my weight.
everything in here done, I think.
Well, dang.